Hey everyone, so this video is broken down into two parts. The first part covers all the logistics, like how we got to Chicago and what we did in the city and how much it cost us. In the second part of this video, I want to look at the reasons why we travel in the first place. I think going to a different city or a different culture can teach us so much, and I hope this video is helpful in helping you guys plan your trip to Chicago. So, let's get started.
Ladies and gentlemen, they have just closed the aircraft door, so at this time all electronic equipment needs to be turned off and left off until 10 minutes into our flight. Flight attendants, arm doors for departure.
So, here are all the logistical details of the trip. We were there for 2 nights in early November. I filmed a wedding in Michigan earlier in the week and drove over after the wedding. For flights, we actually had to fly into Detroit for the wedding I mentioned earlier, and our flights round trip for 2 people were about $700. For lodging, we just booked an Airbnb for 2 nights in downtown Chicago. The Airbnb was on the 40th floor of an apartment building and it cost us about $400. We could have gone cheaper, but with the location and the appeal of being able to see so much of the city just from our window, it was worth it for us. Food, we only spent about $150, and that may sound a little cheap, but only being there 2 nights, we really only splurged at dinner time, and we still got to eat at some really great places. For transportation, we spent about $100 on Uber. Of course, we could have taken public transit, but we felt Uber was the fastest way to go from A to B, even if it was a little bit more expensive. For experiences or sightseeing, we spent about $230. Our first stop was to the Field Museum, and it was absolutely enormous. There's all kinds of stuff to see, and it's definitely great for kids, but definitely plan before you go, as it could be, for sure, an all-day thing. Next was Navy Pier. We rode the Ferris wheel there, and that was about as much as we could do, as much of the stuff was closed just because of the time of year. Next was the Skydeck. It was expensive, but it was great for video and photo, and I would definitely recommend it, even though it for sure is a tourist trap. There are multiple overlooks at the Skydeck. They are on a time limit. Once you get done with the first one, you can get in the line for the second one and take more pictures there. All in all, it was a great experience, and our grand total spent came to about $1,600, and we would love to go back, so everyone chime in and tell us what we missed in the comments. Now, on to the bigger reason I'm glad we went. There's a lot of things that I loved about Chicago, and I would go again in a heartbeat. But I think there's something that I was reminded of that's important to remember. And that's that sometimes in order to slow down in our lives, we really need to get moving. Travel enables us to do this, whether it be a trip to Chicago or a trip halfway around the world. We move out of our normal routines and rhythms when we travel. Different places, peoples, and cultures force us into a different state of mind than we would normally be in. Everything around us is different, new, and becomes more intentional, and so in a way it forces us to slow down and take things in at a different speed. One example I remember while in Chicago is when we went to the Field Museum. There's lots to see, there's lots to do, and it can feel very overwhelming. I was so focused on moving on to the next thing, making sure we literally saw everything. Oddly enough though, my wife wasn't worried about that at all. You see, she has this uncanny ability to take in new experiences and little things in life in an intentional way. She demonstrated this as we were walking around, and she stops at the Rocks and Mineral exhibit. You can imagine just how exciting it is to look at rocks for most people, but for my wife, it was the best part of the whole experience. Seeing her stop at the exhibit and just take it all in forced me to do the same. Sharing in her experience brought about reflection in my own mind. Was I taking advantage of our trip in the way she was? Was I slowing down and really experiencing things the way they were meant to be experienced? That moment happened in part because we packed our bags, got on a plane, and went to Chicago. Trust me, we don't normally visit rock and gem exhibits. We traveled that day and as a result, slowed down in the best way. So my question to you guys is, what are you doing to move today? Reflecting through a travel experience is worth more than anything you could ever purchase. So my encouragement to you is, get on a plane, find a rock exhibit, and get really, really excited about it. Start traveling, and I promise you won't stop slowing down.